Finally, the tide has turned against the cartels. For decades, they've poisoned communities, fueled violence, and defied every attempt to shut them down. But now, the U.S. Navy has unveiled the 6th-generation F/A-XX fighter jet, a stealth war machine built for range, precision, and unmanned integration. It's a clear signal. America is ready to strike harder and faster than ever before. Could this groundbreaking weapon mark the beginning of the end for cartel power? Or is a much greater battle about to begin? The Trump White House has declared a new kind of war against drug cartels, shifting America's response from law enforcement to direct military action. Multiple warships, thousands of sailors, and marine units have been deployed to the Caribbean to hunt traffickers at sea. But this mission goes far beyond intercepting small boats. The president has ordered the U.S. military to take the fight directly to the cartels, organizations he says have been waging war on America for decades. For years, U.S. policy focused on interdiction. The Coast Guard had the authority to chase smugglers, while the DEA worked with Latin American allies to dismantle routes and destroy hidden labs. The goal was arrests and seizures, not open warfare. Now the administration argues that times have changed. According to U.S. officials, fentanyl alone has claimed nearly 200,000 American lives in just 3 years, more than all U.S. combat deaths in the past 6 decades combined. To the White House, this is not just a health crisis, but a national security threat, one that justifies classifying cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Meanwhile, Mexican cartels have escalated their weaponry. Their arsenals now include grenade launchers, combat drones, and heavily armored monster trucks, fitted with steel plating and machine gun turrets, more like battlefield vehicles than tools of crime. Even more alarming is their use of improvised landmines, often traced to Colombian mercenaries bringing war tactics from decades of conflict in South America. These growing threats demand more than policy. They demand power. That's where the Navy's new F/A-XX comes in, a next-generation strike fighter built to dominate both the skies and the seas. Designed for stealth and range, the aircraft will fly in coordination with unmanned drones, the so-called loyal wingmen, extending its reach and multiplying its combat potential. Through advanced sensor fusion, the F/A-XX will communicate seamlessly with both manned and unmanned systems, enhancing every mission. Future versions may even carry hypersonic weapons, pushing naval aviation into an entirely new era. Artificial intelligence will play a key role, enabling pilots to make split-second decisions and control multiple drones at once. These autonomous systems will soon operate as true teammates, fighting, evading, and striking side by side with human pilots. The Navy's independent path toward its 6th-generation fighter also gives it more flexibility in adopting cutting-edge technologies, paving the way for a new era of manned-unmanned collaboration. At the Tailhook Symposium 2025, all eyes turned toward this future. Northrop Grumman unveiled its carrier-based stealth fighter concept, a sleek design that builds on lessons from its X-47 program, which once proved that stealth drones could operate from carriers. Boeing, meanwhile, revealed a concept aligned with its Air Force F-47 program, aiming to streamline production and reduce costs by sharing technology across services. However, the Navy's F/A-XX program has faced serious challenges. With the F-47 emerging as the centerpiece of American 6th-generation air power, resources have been drawn away from the Navy's effort. At one point, the project was rumored to be on life support with funding in doubt. Yet the Navy, backed by key allies in Congress, continues to push forward. They believe the sea demands its own fighter, one capable of operating from carriers, striking deep, and leading the next generation of air warfare. And with the rise of cartel violence, new threats, and an evolving global battlefield, that future may be arriving faster than anyone expected. For U.S. naval aviation leaders, the argument is clear. Without a 6th-generation fighter, aircraft carriers can't guarantee air superiority in future wars. Control of the skies remains the foundation for every mission a carrier air wing performs, from precision strikes to close, support and deterrence. A decision between Boeing and Northrop Grumman was originally expected in March, but that process was suddenly paused when the Department of Defense froze the program, citing concerns that the U.S. aerospace industry might not have the capacity to build 2 separate 6th-generation jets at once. The pause has left the Navy's project in limbo. That hasn't stopped speculation about the FAXX's design or capabilities. The debate reflects a larger question. Can America truly sustain two next-generation fighter programs at the same time? Should the Navy rely on the Air Force's F-47 design, or develop its own carrier-optimized jet built specifically for sea operations? Despite the uncertainty, the Navy kept pushing forward. In July, U.S. Naval Institute news revealed that the Navy's unfunded priorities list included a $1.44 billion request for the Air Wing of the Future program. By comparison, its official 2026 budget included just $74 million to keep the FAXX effort alive. Congress later stepped in, approving new funding that ensured the Navy's 6th-generation fighter would move ahead as an independent program, separate from the Air Force's F-47 Next Generation. Air dominance jet. Carrier strike groups remain one of the most powerful tools of U.S. power projection, capable of deploying up to 80 aircraft anywhere in the world within days. The addition of a 6th-generation fighter will only increase that reach. Vice Admiral Daniel Cheever, the Navy's top aviation officer, often called the Air Boss, has stressed that the service needs a jet designed for carrier operations from the ground up, not a modified land-based aircraft. That commitment was reinforced by recent carrier operations. An F-35C Lightning II from Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 314 recently made an arrested landing aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, highlighting both the strengths and limits of the current fleet. The F-35C brings advanced stealth and sensors but can't replace the strike power of the F/A-18, which remains the backbone of carrier aviation. Cheever called the FAXX an exciting aircraft and said the upcoming selection process will decide which contractor builds the fighter that defines the Navy's air power for decades to come. The FAXX isn't just a single aircraft, and it's part of a broader system of systems, integrating manned, optionally manned, and unmanned aircraft. Drones like the MQ-25 Stingray and X-47 have already shown they can handle aerial refueling and even carrier landings autonomously. These unmanned platforms will work alongside the FAXX, extending the range and survivability of future carrier air wings. While the F-35C remains a powerful platform, it can't meet every naval requirement. The FAXX is designed as a true successor, built for catapult launches, arrested landings, and the long deployments that define life at sea. With congressional backing now secure, development will continue, ensuring that whether Boeing or Northrop Grumman wins, the Navy's future air power remains on course. With funding settled, attention now turns to the aircraft themselves. The Air Force's F-47 will use adaptive cycle engines like the XA-102 or XA-103, giving it a combat radius of over 1,000 nautical miles, nearly double that of the F-22. The FAXX, by contrast, is expected to use a derivative engine optimized for carrier use, offering roughly 25% more range than the current Super Hornet. Unlike the Air Force's pure air superiority fighter, the Navy's jet will serve as a multi-role platform, capable of air dominance, strike missions, and close air support. Recent exercises show why carrier aviation still matters. Super Hornets from Strike Fighter Squadrons 31 and 2 and 13 aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, flew joint missions with Royal Norwegian Air Force F-35s, demonstrating the kind of interoperability that modern warfare demands. While the F-35 strengthens today's carrier wings, it won't replace the F/A-18. That job belongs to the FAXX. Still, challenges remain. Carrier operations demand aircraft tough enough for catapult launches, arrested landings, and long deployments. Adapting the Air Force's F-47 for those conditions would require major redesigns. Boeing and Northrop Grumman's competing FAXX designs are expected to match or exceed the Super Hornet's range by about 25%, though final details remain secret. This competition will shape the future of carrier aviation, and with it, the balance of naval power for decades to come. Despite political hurdles, both Boeing and Northrop Grumman continue to push their proposals. Most analysts doubt Boeing will win both major 6th-generation contracts. The company already leads the Air Force's F-47 program. Giving both projects to one contractor could limit competition in the defense industry, a risk Pentagon officials are eager to avoid. Lockheed Martin once won both the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Joint Strike Fighter programs, but those victories were a decade apart and came under very different circumstances. Today's global threats are advancing far faster. Boeing might argue that shared technology between the F-47 and F/A-XX would lower costs and speed production, but critics warn that concentrating too much power in one company could weaken the overall defense ecosystem. The stakes extend well beyond business. If the Navy's F/A-XX were canceled, the service might have to rely solely on the F-35C or adapt the F-47 for carrier use, a move that could shift priorities away from right now. The F-35C is the Navy's longest-range carrier jet, capable of flying about 670 nautical miles on a combat mission. The new F/A-XX could extend that reach to around 840 nautical miles, enough to strike deeper into enemy territory before needing to refuel. But range is only part of the story. The F/A-XX is being designed to survive in heavily defended airspace, evade advanced sensors, and work seamlessly with unmanned aircraft. Instead of the pilot handling every action, the jet systems will take over many routine tasks, allowing the pilot to focus on strategy, almost like a commander overseeing the fight. This fighter will also act as a quarterback in the skies, coordinating drone formations and leading complex missions. Range, however, remains a vital issue. Nations like China are developing long-range weapons that could threaten U.S. carriers from nearly 1,000 miles away. To stay ahead, the Navy must ensure its aircraft can strike far while keeping carriers out of danger. A moving carrier already creates over 1 million square miles of uncertainty in just one day, making it nearly impossible for enemies to locate. By the 2040s, with the F/A-XX and MQ-25 working together, the reach of a carrier air wing could expand to more than 11 million square miles. Even if its range increase seems modest, the F/A-XX represents something far greater, a leap towards smarter warfare, stronger networks, and greater survivability. It's a glimpse into the future of naval aviation, ensuring America's carrier strike groups remain unmatched well beyond 2040. The competition between Boeing and Northrop Grumman is nearing its climax, and soon we'll learn who gets to build the Navy's next great fighter. One thing's certain, the F/A-XX won't just fly farther. It will change how the Navy dominates the skies.